Welcome to Cardinal Corner, a podcast created by Cardinal Home Center. I'm your host, Maggie Glass. For the next couple weeks, we're going to be doing a series to answer all your paint questions. For our first episode, we're talking about how to choose the right paint. I'm joined for another episode with paint expert Michael Freeman. Thanks for being here today.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Michael, can you tell us again about your background working with Cardinal and what you do here?
Certainly. I've been with Cardinal Home Center since about 2010. I work in the paint department, but I also work with wall coverings and flooring as well.
And I understand there's a family connection here?
Yes, my brother Marcus, he's my younger brother. He works in the paint department at our Madison location.
Okay, I guess we can just get started. So the first question is there anything I should know about picking out new paint if I'm painting over a space?
If you're painting over a space, there's a lot of things to consider, whether it's previously painted or if it's bare. If it is previously painted, what kind of paint's already on there? So for instance, if it's a roof that you're doing and it's got oil-based paint on there, then you're probably going to want to stick with that. Whereas if it's got latex, then that's a lot easier of a process to just continue with the latex.
Where do you see customers using oil-based paints versus latex-based paints?
Oil-based over the years, especially because of the way market trends are going, they've been trying to kind of push it out for years, but there are still areas that you have to use oil-based. Like I said in my example, a roof. If it's a turn metal roof, you have to use oil-based. And then there are some people who, because of the fact that oil-based levels out a lot better, they like that look and finish on things like cabinetry and trim. In pretty much every other instance, though, people are going to go with a water-based or latex.
Benjamin Moore has many different sheens, both for interior and exterior paints. Can you describe how each of those differ?
Certainly. So for interior, most of your lines are going to have a flat, or some people would call it dead flat, matte finish, eggshell, satin, or sometimes they call it pearl, semi-gloss, and then sometimes you get into high gloss. It's rare, but it is an option. For exterior, you get flat. You get what they call low luster, which is very similar to the eggshell, satin, and either soft gloss or semi-gloss. Honestly, it's tomato. But they're the same pretty much. But those are your different finishes. As I listed those, you're getting from flatter, more matte finishes to the higher reflectant ones.
Are there certain sheens that pair well together that are particularly used for painting cabinets, doors, or other areas just besides traditional walls?
Yes. So, for instance, in what you were saying, cabinetry, a lot of people go with satin. Sometimes you see some duller ones or even shinier ones, but satin is a lot of people's go-to. Same with furniture. Trim, semi-gloss is your go-to because when you've got a wall that's, let's say you've got a nice accent color on your wall, and you've got white trim, if you have a more of a matte or eggshell or even a flat on that wall, and then you trim it out with a semi-gloss, that white semi-gloss pops and it helps give you a nice contrast between your trim and your wall. Otherwise, it's more of an aesthetic, but there are different finishes that pair well together.
What are the quality differences I should consider?
Okay. Benjamin Moore generally has a good, better, or best. We like to joke around and say that there's no such thing as cheap paint anymore. You can get cheap paint. It's not worth it. So it's usually better to get at least something that's good. And then it's a matter of your budget. A lot of times what you're willing, I like to put it, how much are you willing to put into it and to get out of it. So that's the start. And then the differences in quality generally come down after that to how good of coverage you're going to get for like a color change and your durability. Is that paint going to retain that color? So if you wanted to do a nice, a lot of times at one time, the popular thing was to do a nice red wall, vibrant. If you want that color to stay that nice, vibrant red, you're going to want a higher quality paint because the resins are stronger. They're going to hold off longer. And especially if you've got pets or children in the house and, the walls are getting touched and bumped up against, when you go to wipe them down, you're not wiping the pigment off. You're just wiping resin, and that holds that strong color.
And related to quality, what are some other areas of paint I should be considering?
The durability of it, especially if it's a high traffic area. So for instance, if you've got maybe a commercial space that's going to have lots of traffic, lots of people scuffing up the walls. We have a product called Scuff X for that, and it's exactly as the name kind of implies. It's meant to resist scuffs and beatings. A lot of times we sell it to people who have commercial spaces or playrooms for their small children or schools, even with backpacks and shoes.
Yeah,
Scuffing
right.
against the walls holds up to that. Moisture, something that you can think about. We have, especially like for bathrooms or even like a spa area, we have two products for that. Benjamin Moore's Kitchen and Bath Satin and their Aura Bath and Spa Matte. The Kitchen and Bath Satin is more like your standard. It's got that nice shiny satin finish, holds up against the moisture. And the Aura Bath and Spa Matte does the same, but it's a matte finish, so it's hides more imperfections, easier to touch up, and it's a matte finish you can actually have in a bathroom. So it's more expensive, but it is a nicer look. And then, some people, not me, I'm kind of dead to it now.
Yeah,
with
I'm sure
with
after
paint
working here.
with paint fumes, unfortunately it's something you can get used to.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand there are a lot of people who maybe they've got allergies or they're more sensitive to paint fumes. Thankfully, Benjamin Moore has products like their EcoSpec line that are, most of them are low VOC, some of them are even zero VOC, that they're not going to stink up the room quite as much as your old school latex
Right.
paint. And any fumes that they do produce go away, I mean, quick compared to, like I said, old school fumes.
Yeah. When I'm painting a space, can I use the same paint for the whole room?
You can, depending on what you're doing. So, for instance, I know nowadays it's a really big trend coming up to paint your ceiling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either to keep it going the same color that's on your walls all the way up, or even to do I've even seen where people are doing darker colors
Oh,
up
wow.
top. Yeah, it's a nice, it's definitely something that is a new thing,
Yeah.
and you don't see it as often, but it is something that people experiment with. Either way, if you're going to paint it a color other than just white, we do have a ceiling paint for that. Or even if you're just painting it white, something that you don't want to do generally, is put a shiny paint up there because you never look at it straight up, and
Uh-huh.
so you're always going to have light bouncing off of it. And anytime you
Okay.
have something that has sheen, it's going to show imperfections. And of
Okay.
course, any drywaller will tell you that a ceiling is a lot harder to get smooth than the wall.
Yeah.
So you kind of want it really flat. So other than that, as far as using the same paint for your traditional room, you're fine. I would suggest using a different paint on your ceiling than you would on your walls because it is great for being flat on that ceiling, hiding those imperfections,
Mm-hmm.
being really easy to touch up. But you wouldn't want something that flat on your walls.
Right.
It's going to not be very durable at all. You're touching your walls a lot more than you're touching your ceiling. And then your trim, you kind of want something, again, easier to wipe down. So I
Okay.
would use that. Ceilings, it's great. Walls, use something different.
If I want to paint the outside of my home, what are some of the things I should consider when it comes to picking a paint?
You should consider the substrate that you're painting, whether your house is aluminum clad, whether it's hardy plank, whether it's actual wood like cedar siding or vinyl. But generally, your biggest question comes down: do I want to paint or a stain? If you're doing wood and let's just say it's a bare surface, it's up to you. Stains do a lot to help enhance the beauty of wood because they penetrate into the wood and seal it up and protect it, whereas paint's more like a shield. Whereas if you're doing something like hardy plank, vinyl siding, aluminum, you're going to want to use a paint. Now, I have had people use on hardy plank, and this is kind of one of those things where it's like, they're not going to tell you this. It's like a little tip to use our Arbor Coat Solid Stain on hardy plank. If you're doing masonry, like brick,
Mm-hmm.
you can use regular latex paint if you want. We've actually, within the last few years, have gotten into a product called Loma Bio, which is great. It's a masonry product. It comes in either a lime wash or a masonry flat, and it is awesome for masonry. So if you've got bare masonry, especially, they've got a primer if it's not, but if it's bare masonry, it is the bomb to use. So the biggest thing is your substrate. After that, it's the look you want, and you ask us and with your specific project, and you go on from there.
When do I want to use floor enamels versus regular paint?
Well, on the floor. But typically, all jokes aside, typically on a concrete floor especially, Any surface that's going to be walked on, whether that's stairs or floors, especially interior wood, concrete, either inside or outside, you want to use a floor enamel paint as opposed to just regular wall paint because it's made to take foot traffic. Average person's foot carries their body weight in that so many square feet every time they take a step. Our bodies are designed to take that. Most paints are not. Floor paints are designed specifically to take that pounding every time someone takes a step on it. So that is when you want to do it. And even some people, if they're doing, say, like an exterior park bench or something, we've run into where people use floor paints on that because it's going to be more durable than a regular wall paint.
Are there any other questions you get from customers who are trying to decide which product?
Yeah, actually, the one I get the most is, what is everybody else doing? Yeah, we get questions like that. Other than that, really more of, which one's going to be easier to use, which one is better suited for someone who doesn't paint all the time, and our bin line, BEN, is a good one for new painters starting off. It's a little more forgiving as far as dry times and laying it on and stuff. I mean, a lot of times every customer is different, so every job is different. So when a person comes in, we have questions that we like to try to ask, and in doing so, when you answer our questions, we can help guide you in the direction to what will help you get your job done to make it look the best at the best price that you can get it done for.
Okay. All right, I think that's everything. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Today's broadcast is designed to give you a general idea of your project. Please consult our team members to make recommendations for your specific needs. If you want to learn more about what we talked about, you can visit our website at cardinalcornerpodcast.com.